forever lives to my whistle. Come give me a tune. Deep throat, what you blow my flute.
Plant City, Florida.
Victoria, Tamaulipas, hasta el cuartel militar llegó el coronel Roberto por orden presidencial a llevarte militares y hasta por el general. Coronel Ramírez Lloques, que entre las rejas te encuentras junto con un capitán, era tu mano derecha, no pudiste escapar, venía derecha la flecha.
De nada.
¿Te dije que me abrieras la puerta?
No.
¿Yo te dije?
No, pero...
¿Tú le dijiste? No. ¿Tú le dijiste? No.
Un chiquillo grosero.
Ya, vete la...
¿Qué opinas de los heterosexuales? Pues no los apoyo, pero sí los respeto. Mames, güey, ¿cómo voy a ser heterofóbica si sabes que mi hermana es hetero? ¡Ey, cabrón! Una cosa es que mi hermana sea una puta heterosexual degenerada cameñonga de mierda, y otra muy diferente es que yo te voy a dejar que le faltes al respeto. Pero yo tengo amigos hetero y yo los trato como si fueran personas normales, literalmente, güey, yo no tengo ningún pedo, o sea, son buenas personas, ¿sabes? Esa pendeja me acaba de decir, ¿por qué me dices hetero, cabrón? ¿Eh? ¿Por qué chicos me dices hetero? Yo sí soy mujer imbécil. Respeto a los heteros, con que no se metan conmigo o con mi familia, todo bien. Me acabo de enterar que mi vecino vive con su mejor amiga. Y yo así, ay, güey, me chupo el dedo, que obvio son heterosexuales. ¿Y eres heterosexual? No mames, tengo un amigo para ti, güey, se van a casar. ¿Cómo que por qué? Pues porque ambos son heteros, son el uno para el otro. Que si vi diario de una pasión, heterosexualidad forzada.
You know you're Hispanic if as a kid you did any of these things, man. Let's get straight into it. Number one, you know you're Hispanic if when you got sleepy at a party, you would just get a bunch of chairs together and then fall asleep like this. Number two, man, you know you're Hispanic if as a kid you would act like you were gonna run away whenever your parents got mad at you, like this.
Siempre yo, siempre yo. Ya me voy, siempre yo. Nadie me quiere y ya me voy, ya me voy. Ya nunca me van a ver, ya nunca me van a ver.
And number three, man, you know you're Hispanic if as a kid you and your primos would flip over the bounce house like this.
Let's flip it over or what? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Go volunteer. So I actually used to volunteer as a translator at Seven Trees Elementary School. Now I think it's called Daniel Leron College Preparatory Academy or something like that. And that's where I went when I was a kid. And the area actually has a lot of immigrant families from Latin America, and a lot of the parents don't speak English or don't speak English well, so they would need translators. So I actually used to volunteer my time to go there and translate during parent-teacher conferences. Another thing that I did is my 5th grade teacher, Larry Volpe, actually has a garden there where he grows California native plants, and he teaches students about the importance of conserving our environment and the importance of growing California native plants, and you know how growing these types of plants is good for like the fauna and just good for the environment overall. So I actually used to go and volunteer in the garden. So go volunteer, check. Read a book. I'm not really reading per se because I work here doing tires. I can't really have a book during my shift, but I have been listening to this right here, Fifth Son, A New History of the Aztecs. I made my account in 2020, and around that time is when I started talking about Mexican history, and somebody asked me if I could make a video talking about the Aztec Empire, and at the time I didn't feel comfortable because I didn't feel that I knew enough about Mesoamerican or like Aztec history. So I've been reading since then. I've been reading books on it to get to the point where I feel comfortable enough to talk about it, and that's one of the books. And then you say your identity is a social construct, it means nothing. I mean, a lot of things are social constructs. Race is a social construct, gender norms are social constructs, nationality is a social construct. That doesn't mean that these things don't have tangible effects on us on a daily basis, you know. Just because it's a social construct doesn't mean it isn't important. And this social construct that is my identity matters to me. And maybe that's just, you know, something to consider before, you know, you leave a comment like this again.
f***ing rude. Are you kidding me? I swear to God, don't be f***ing rude and throw the thing on me. I'll f***ing hurt you. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
F***ing bitch.
So the argument here is basically, why should they teach Mexican history in the United States? We're in the United States, so obviously they're going to teach American history. However, the examples of Mexican history that I gave are things like Mexican repatriation, Operation Wetback, La Matanza, the slaughter, which happened in Texas. These are Mexican history events that happened within the United States. Specifically, let's talk about Mexican repatriation, which started in 1929. 1929 is around the time that the Great Depression started, and will completely omit how the United States government scapegoated Mexicans during the Great Depression and then went on to illegally deport Mexicans, saying that this would ease unemployment during the Great Depression. This is Mexican history that occurred within the United States. This was an event where the United States government targeted Mexicans for deportation illegally. And that's what I mean. What I mean is, here in the United States, they won't teach Mexican history as it pertains to American history, like those events, because obviously it makes the United States look bad. And they won't teach about La Matanza, and they won't teach about Operation Wetback. They won't teach about things like the Greaser Act. They just don't teach us anything that makes the United States look bad. And I think that it's important that we talk about these sort of historical events so that we don't repeat them, so that we know this is something that's happened in the past to our people, and we don't want it to happen again. Like, did you know that back from like the 1910s to I think like the 1950s, they used to spray Latin American immigrants coming into the United States with toxic chemicals? In 1917, and this includes things like gasoline, and in 1917 this actually led to an event where several immigrants were burned alive at the border. And this is something that it's important that we know about, because that way we can see how it's nothing new when in like 2020 ICE decided that it was going to spray toxic chemicals to immigrants that it was holding in its detention centers. See what I'm talking about? Like, these are things that we should be learning about so that we don't allow things like this to happen again. Because guess what? Things like this are still happening to us.
Chale, banda, neta que sí vivimos en un país bien surreal. Chihuahua, bájate de ahí.
¿Algún talento que tengas?
Mojar a las niñas.
¿Algún talento que tengas?
¿Yo? No sé, romper corazones.
Macarena, dala tu cuerpo alegría, Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dala tu cuerpo.
Tell me why I shouldn't throw this drink in your bitch ass face.
When I fight, I do not pull weed. Only thing I'm pulling out is teeth.
Yo no sé si tú me quieras, pero yo te puedo esperar. Si me dejas esperando, me vas a matar.
Hijo de su puta madre, yo también se me volvió esta madre. De ulda se me cambió a selfie esta. Rápido, 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 rápido. No puedo, Marta.
Be your boyfriend.
Hola, me llaman Romeo.
My room, I sit by myself, talking to the moon, trying to get to you. Hopes you're on the other side, talking to me too. Or am I a fool who sits alone, talking to the moon? Oh.
¡A la verga, un Power Ranger! Somos la chapiza, viejo.
Todo bien, que está bien, estamos en orden.